Motivations with Glenn.
Good day, everyone. Thank you for tuning into Awesome Radio, 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU.
Said.
Okay. Ask now.
Yes.
Welcome to the show. I'm going to say that one more time. We got her audio on. Welcome to our show today, Miss Annette Mertz, and she's going to tell us what she wants us to know about herself. You can introduce yourself and tell us about your particular injury. Welcome, Miss Annette.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show. Um, it has been, I was injured in a motor vehicle accident 3 years ago and suffered a traumatic brain injury in January of 23. And so it has been a 3 year journey for me. I had uh, my left side was paralyzed. I had vision damage, hearing loss, and been working since then just to rebuild myself, reconnect myself, and get to know more about brain injury and try to be an advocate to other survivors. And I know one of my partners is trying to join as well, so hopefully he's going to be able to as well. Another advocate that's working on this, but for now, I'm not sure what else to say.
We do have him. I can see him there, but I don't know if he's on,
Yeah,
if he can hear us.
I'm trying to add him to the screen.
He's
Okay.
trying to add it to the stream. Mr. James Rhodes, are you able to hear us? He's able to hear us, but I can't hear him, Dr. Glenn.
I don't hear him either.
Looks like that. Wait, is he on mute?
Let me see if I can unmute him.
Yeah.
No, he's not connected. His connection keeps going in and out.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So we're sorry for the technical difficulties. And I just want to say that if we're not able to get him, maybe he can call in, or Dr. Glenn, you can ask him to call in. He can
Yeah,
call in on the phone
yeah.
and be live with us on the air on the phone.
I just texted him and asked him to call in.
Okay, and then, maybe we'll get him back up here at another time, and be able to get him if he's not able to connect with us today. But anyhow, we're going to move on, and I'm thankful that Miss Annette was able to tell us that, and I had it written down here, that she received that she, and I don't want to say receive, I want to
Acquired.
say acquired. Yes, she's never received it. She's never received it, but she acquired. And Dr. Glenn and Miss Annette, somebody corrected me with that just this morning. I heard those very words, and one of my close people that I mentor, my she says people will say my husband's stroke, and she says that's not my husband's stroke. She's not claiming it, she's not receiving it. She's just saying that he had a stroke, but it's not his stroke. So we want to say acquired her brain. That you acquired your traumatic brain injury through a car accident. Can you tell us about that? Because I know today we're talking about it in more than one way. One, you can acquire it through an accident or some traumatic injury, and then you can also acquire a traumatic brain injury through a stroke or a health crisis or something of that matter, even through a seizure. And so we have this on both sides. And Miss Annette, can you tell us about the day that that you can remember the day of your accident?
Sure. So first off, I have no memory of the accident itself. I was in a motor vehicle accident, and I was coming back from vacation from Florida on the Florida Turnpike, and we were pulled off in a designated pull-off area, and we were parked, and a car drove off the turnpike and hit our parked car. So I was still sitting in the car when the other vehicle struck our car. And my friend who was driving, he had actually stepped outside, standing outside of the car on my side, but she hit our car so hard that our car hit him. And he was also seriously injured. And we were both airlifted by helicopter to a trauma unit in Florida. And initially, I was on a ventilator, unconscious for 5 or 6 days. And once I regained consciousness and stabilized, my family had me transported by medical vehicle to UNC Hillsborough, where I was in a rehab facility there for 4 weeks. So as I mentioned initially, I had a craniotomy upon arrival at the trauma unit to save my life. And so I had my left arm and my left leg were paralyzed. I had severe vision damage, and I had hearing loss. And obviously, with the brain injury itself, I had physical, cognitive, and emotional healing to do from that.
Wow, and you probably answered quite a few of my questions that I had lined up to ask you already. So we
Okay.
already thank you for giving us those answers. I was going to ask you those things during this interview, and I want to just take a moment to say that our other guest is on, and we're able to see his face. And I just want to say, from me, Miss Jacqueline, Mr. James
He just
Rose,
went out again.
he just went out again.
His connection just dropped
Look,
again.
I just got ready to, I was going to bring him up and introduce him, and he's dropped off again. I was getting ready to have him say something. Hopefully, he's able to pop back on. Oh my goodness. That is, it's different, but hey, we're going to roll with it and we're going to stay with Miss Annette. And even if I may rephrase the questions a different way, I see how you said
Sure.
that you don't even remember the accident because I'm sure
No.
you were just living your life. Oh, hey, we will be right back from this break. Hang in there with us. We'll be right back in a moment.
Hello, my name is Daniel out of Greenville. Thank you for listening to Awesome Radio 107.5 FM, 1570 AM, WECU.
You're listening to Awesome Radio, Christian media with the spirit of excellence. Awesome Radio. Yes, awesome. Awesome. Do you feel it? Awesome. Awesome.
Welcome back to the Glenn Johnson Show. Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Collins Williams. We have a special guest on today, Miss Annette Merce, sharing her story of her brain injury. I want to play an audio clip for you right now. This is the only audio clip I'm going to play for today, so we can give more attention to our guest.
March is Traumatic Brain Injury Awareness Month. Most people have an understanding of what a traumatic brain injury is. Typically, brain injuries are acquired in accidents or sports-related activities. 1.5 million to 3.5 million people suffer some form of brain injury every single year in the United States. Over 5 million people are living with permanent brain injury deficits that are impacting their lives and causing disability. The odds are pretty good that you may know somebody who has suffered a traumatic brain injury and maybe has recovered most of their function, but they might be living with some effects of that injury even today. During Brain Injury Awareness Month, take a moment to learn a little bit about traumatic brain injury.
Okay, that is the only audio clip I want to play for today. Now I'm going to hand it back over to Apostle Jacqueline Collins Williams and our guest, Miss Annette Mertz.
Yes, Miss Annette. I said before you could hear me that I appreciated getting your book and getting a signed copy of your book, and that I did receive that. And so I wanted to just say
That wasn't Annette,
No, I was
that
gonna say that was
okay, the lady with the
Laura.
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 Okay, sorry, Laura. I'm sorry, Annette. I am
It's okay.
so Dr. Glenn, and then I said it before, and it's not her. It's the other one's name is Laura. Okay, I'm sorry. This is Annette. Miss Annette, I am so sorry, and maybe
That's okay.
it looks like our guest is popping back on, but I'm going to wait with him just for a few minutes to
Yeah.
make sure that we have a good connection before we bring him on. I wanted to say to you and ask this particular question because you did tell us, Miss Annette, about you had paralysis, hearing loss, and you had memory problem concerning your accident or after the accident. And I wanted to ask you this particular question because I know that after, the lasting effects after having an accident can bring about some emotional feelings or emotional changes. And I wanted to ask you, how do you manage did you manage the emotions during the recovery when you see that there are things that you were able to do before and now you weren't able to do them after? How did you manage the emotional the emotions during the recovery process?
Um, that's a great question. I, my family, and my faith that were helpful in helping me to see the small steps of progress I was able to make. Um, you know, a, I had anger, obviously, that it happened, but I don't remember how it happened. So I think that helps a little bit. Um, and I had started working with a therapist pretty soon after my accident, which was also helpful. It took me a little time to find a therapist, but I did find one that I'm comfortable with. But there's many different levels of it. It's not just the things, that you can't do. It's it's not the big things you can't do. It's sometimes it's the little things. Like I, even to this day, still struggle to get my left shoe on my left foot. And I know that sounds silly to some people, but it's a reality for me. Like I literally have a challenge of getting my shoe on my foot, and I have to. I've improved obviously, but it's still those little things that can sometimes be incredibly frustrating.
And that, let me interrupt for 1 second. Jade, we'll see you as a part of the broadcast if you can hear us. But I think you might be muted. If you can unmute yourself. And Annette, let me ask you a question. So, a brain injury can occur in different people differently. Is that correct?
Yes, and that's something I have learned from this journey in being part of these support groups. Is that as mentioned, a brain injury can happen in multiple ways. It can be from a motor vehicle accident. It can be from falling. It can be from a stroke or other medical issue that you have, loss of oxygen. So one of the things that I've learned is that, you know, the injury can occur in many different ways. And it really can vary what the challenges are depending on what part of your brain the injury occurred in, because there are multiple parts of your brain and each part does something different for your body. So some people, I was hit on the right side of my head and the back of my head, and that's where the challenges occurred for me was, because of that part of my head being injured. Other people, it can be the front of their brain or the left side, which impact different parts of your body. And so whether it's a stroke or an accident or a fall, yes, it impacts the injury. It's the result of the impact or the damage that can alter your life differently.
Yeah, that you're absolutely right because like I was sharing with Apostle last week, I speak at a lot of speaking engagement, particularly first responders, police officers, and nothing like. But one thing I never mentioned to them was because of my accident, I had some outward visible signs, like my hands, both my hands, my fingers were like claws. All my fingers were contracted inward, and they just look like claws. But now, on my right hand and my left hand, you kind of straighten out, except for my right hand. My pinky and the finger that's next to the pinky still kind of protruding. See that, Jackie?
Yeah.
And I don't think it could be rectified because I remember I saw a doctor one time. He said, well, the likelihood of breaking it and resetting it is beyond that because you have to live with it. It's just a permanent injury. So I know it's a permanent thing because I have a permanent injury to my cerebellum and 1/4 or 1/4 of my brain is damaged. My whole entire right front temporal lobe. I possibly have 2 minutes.
Yes, I was going to ask Miss Annette, and as Dr. Glenn, he showed us, one of his physical signs that you could see. outward, I wanted to ask you what had been the most difficult physical change for you. And I know you gave us different things that, that had changed after the accident, but what has been the most difficult physical change?
I would say it's a close tie between my vision and the use of my left side. So when I first was injured, my eyes were completely crossed. My right eye went that way, my left eye went to the other side. So they were completely crossed. Miraculously, I didn't lose vision. So I could see out of both eyes, but they saw two completely different things. And so I've had two surgeries to try to correct them. And the right eye is pretty good. The left eye still has some inward movement. And because of that, I have intense double vision. So I have glasses that I the physical piece is, I mean, I've regained the use of my left hand and my left leg. Um, and I have pretty good use of them. I still have limitations, but I'm grateful for the use I have.
Oh, yes. And I know that, when you talk about your vision, oh, we're getting ready. And listen, they're creeping up on us today. But we're getting through this broadcast and getting some very good information. Hey, hang in there. We're going out on a break. We want you to hear the rest of Miss Annette's story and our other guests. Well, this is Awesome Radio.
I am Miss Mary Cox. I'm Keller Pippin's mother from Awesome Radio.
Awesome Radio. Yes, awesome. Awesome. Can you feel it? Awesome. Awesome.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show. Motivation with Glenn. Our other guest, unfortunately, is having difficulties trying to connect. So we're going to stay with Miss Annette. We have 30 more minutes for this broadcast. If you don't mind sticking and staying for the 30 minutes. Here's Apostle Jacqueline Cullin Williams.
Definitely. And I was saying before we went out on the break that I'm sure that was very difficult to have an eye problem, having your vision impaired.
I'm sorry, Apostle. We have a caller on the line. Caller, you are live on the air on the Glenn Johnson Show. You have a comment or a question? I believe this is Mr. Rhodes.
Yes, this is, and I apologize to you, doctor, and the pastor, and especially you to my partner, Annette. I should be there, but I can't unmute it, but this is Brain Awareness Month, and it's a big deal to me because I suffered a stroke, and I want to do anything to help anybody because, like Annette was saying, there's some paralysis, things I went through, things I'm still going through. So I just wanted to I really apologize to you that I'm not able to talk on the station because I've been preparing all day, so to speak, So,
Well, you're still live on the air, and it's still being recorded, so we just don't have the video of you. That's okay. As long as we got you on the phone, because I do want to ask you a question. Because you're a stroke survivor with a brain injury. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you, did you encounter seizures during your ordeal?
no, and thank God, because a lot of people I know, some people had seizures and went in and had surgery and ended up with the stroke-like behavior. But once I had my stroke in 2022 in January, I never went out, like knocked out or put to sleep or, fell out, passed out. I never was like that. I was conscious, scared, but conscious. So,
Yeah, and now just let me mention, we have 7 minutes to go before this particular segment. Then we'll be back with another 10 minutes. I want to give you that 10 minutes because we don't want to leave Annette out again, but she had the first 20 minutes. So then after your next 10 minutes, we'll have our final 10 minutes where both of you can share during those 10 minutes, 5 minutes apiece. Go ahead, Mr. Rhodes.
well, I just want to apologize to Annette because we talked about this and I feel like I stood you up.
Not at all.
So,
Not at all. We're glad you're here.
Yep, the strokes are kind of difficult. I'm trying to encourage people out there. It's a road. Like you know, you got to heal to get healthy. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, because it's a road. There's depression, anguish, anger. You know, dealing with yourself is the hardest part. But I've come a long way. And Ned had a saying about, thank God the stroke happened or our injuries happened because I cleared up a lot of space to do a lot of other things. And so, but I think like Annette's stroke was, her brain injury was because of a car wreck. Mine was induced. You know, I drank too much. I wasn't eating right. And I had high blood pressure pills. And I wasn't taking them. You know, nothing's going to happen to me, you know, my attitude. And so I fell into this rut. I think God, you know, smacked me up a little bit. Hey, you know, pay attention.
Hey, Mr.
So,
James, Mr. James,
yeah,
I want to share something with you. So
go ahead.
our last brain injury support group meeting online was with Susan on Sunday, and you mentioned that you wasn't taking your high blood pressure medication. And
Right.
right after you said that, I immediately went to my medicine bag, and got my high blood
Mm-hmm.
pressure medication and cholesterol tablets, and started taking them with some water because of what you had said. I
Yeah.
immediately went and got them.
Oh, yeah. I've learned a lesson too. You know, I've learned a lesson because, you know, hard heads make a soft butt, as they used to say. So, you know, I'm not having it. It didn't run in my family. No one's had it. You know, it's a joke. I read about it, but I didn't know about it until it hit me. And then I became the spokesperson for the family, you know, and others. But I've joined these groups. Like I met you through a net group. Uh, I don't know what it's called, but you know, our Thursday meeting Zoom,
Yeah, I know.
and yeah, I got so much help there. Just people struggling like you and being able to get it off your chest. Because
Yeah,
it's hard telling your friends what you're going through. They don't understand. They look at you like, okay, you know, they don't quite understand exactly. But
and
we all understand each other. Go
yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
we have about 4.5 minutes to go before we go to the next break. Then we'll be back
Yeah.
with another 10 minutes. But I just want to mention, so not only is our guest Annette Mertz, a brain injury
Yeah.
survivor, she's also a facilitator of a brain injury awareness meeting, virtual meeting on Thursdays at 3
Great.
p.m. So
Mhm.
if anybody desire to have a link to that meeting, please don't hesitate to email me at glennjohnsonshow@gmail.com. I'll make sure to
Right.
email it to you so that you have it. So she is an advocate for our brain injury survivors.
Right.
Go ahead, Mr.
Oh
James,
yeah.
4 minutes. 4 minutes.
Okay, Dr. Glenn, it takes a lot of therapy. It takes you got to beat up on it. You know, 1% a day is the thing I heard. You know, as long as I get better tomorrow than I was today, you know, and you keep going and you start building off there, gaining ground, getting confidence. Because when I got to the hospital, I did 6 weeks after the stroke in the hospital, 2 weeks, and then I did 4 weeks of rehab. And like Annette, we talked about that. She did 6 weeks too in the hospital before they released you. And I felt when I saw my face the first time after the stroke, my face was all twisted up. I didn't know this for the first 2 weeks. And I just the Phantom of the Opera, that would never leave me. You know, that look I had on my face, you know. And
Yeah.
so it
Well,
took a
James,
while to shake it.
well, James, I want to mention something to you.
Good.
When you came out of your ordeal, that was actually the first day of the rest of your life. We have two
All
to three
right.
minutes to go, Apostle, and it goes take us out to the break after these 2 minutes.
Yes,
Okay.
I wanted to say welcome to you because I haven't spoken to you, Mr. James, and I
Yes.
definitely knew I was prepared with a whole stream of questions
Ah.
concerning you, but it was Miss Annette that I wasn't quite as prepared for. But here I wanted to ask you here as we're coming up to the 2 minute break.
Yeah.
Did you have any you talked about how you were drinking, not taking your medicine, and those things,
Right.
and we spoke about that last week on the show about the
Mm.
importance of taking your medicine. But I wanted to
Right.
ask, did you have any other warning signs in your body before you had the stroke that you were having it? How did you
Well,
know? How did you know?
the day of the stroke, I was driving a tractor trailer, and I was about 60 miles outside of Cleveland, where I live, Canton, actually, where the Hall of Fame is for football. And I was started sweating on one side of my head, but it didn't register. So I'm driving, I started sweating, my head started hurting, and I drove all the way back home. Once I got in my car, I got behind the driver's seat, and I couldn't move my legs. I was stuck behind the light, like two lights went by, changed, and I couldn't move. I couldn't figure it out. What is this? So I finally made it home and took a pill and went back to the hospital. And they checked me out as okay. And they sent me home. The next morning, I woke up on the floor, and that's when the journey started. The ambulance came. They took me back to the same hospital. And but I had signs. The main sign was my blood pressure was not normal. It was a little high, 140, 148. But okay, that's because of what I ate last night. But I'm going to work it off today. That attitude, that thinking is wrong. So
We got 1 minute before we go to the break. So Apostle's going to take us out to the break. But James, hang in there. I want to share something with you after we come from this break. After we come from this break. Apostle.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm very surprised when he said he couldn't move his legs and then he just made it home. I mean, I think I would have been on 911 at that point. They would have found something wrong with me.
Right. Well, I did go to the hospital, but you just things you don't want to believe. I had never witnessed it before. Maybe it passed.
Oh, yes. Well, hey,
Right.
I want to say to our listening audience on today, you can call in and be live. If you have any questions for our guests on today, you can call in and be live on the air with them on today. This is the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams. You're listening to us on Awesome Radio, and we're going to be right back after this moment. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
Awesome Radio Network is gearing up for our annual Mother's Day and Father's Day gift bag giving for the residents at McGregor Downs Health Center. $10 will sponsor one bag. If you would like to donate towards this community event, contact us 252-756-3137. And together we can show the love of Jesus, encourage and brighten the hearts of the residents during their stay at the McGregor Downs Health Center, Greenville. Donor's name, organization can be attached to the cards if desired. To learn more about this annual community event, contact us at 252-756-3137. That's 252-756-3137. We are a 501c3 organization under Community Care Fellowship doing business as Awesome Radio Network, where God gets the glory.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Glenn Johnson Show. Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams. Our topic, Praying is Your Word this month, 2026. We have two guests on today, Mr. James Rhodes via telephone and Mr. Ned Mertz via StreamYard. So we have 20 minutes remaining. I would like to give the 20 minutes to both our guests. But James, I just want to point out something to you. When you talk about you had your stroke, what driver your tractor trailer? When I was a tractor trailer driver, I made a delivery or pickup and delivery from Atlanta, Georgia to Harrisburg, PA. And,
Wow.
and when I got to Harrisburg, PA, that's when I found out I was diabetic. Because I ate the buffet at the truck stop. I went to lay down in the truck. I could not lay down. It felt like every organ in my body was going to explode. I started the truck up, took the truck and everything to the hospital in Philadelphia. When they admitted me, the doctor came back and told me, Mr. Johnson, have you ever checked your sugar? I'm like, no, what are you talking about? He said, well, we just checked your sugar. It's 900 and something, going on 1,000. We surprised you made it here.
Wow.
So that was in 2022, 2002. And I've been diabetic ever since. So I just wanted to mention that. Now we're going to give them these 20 minutes to Apostle and both of our guests. Apostle.
Yes, I wanted to ask, and Miss Annette, she had already given us some lasting effects of the stroke, but I don't know that we had any. Is he? He's on the phone, not on. I almost looked and said he's not up there again, Dr. Glenn. He's
Yeah,
on the
sorry.
phone. Do you have any lasting effects? I don't know if we heard that you said that you did after your stroke, Mr. James.
Oh, me. Oh, I think
Yes,
you're talking to a name.
yes, no.
Um, lasting. Well, mine was a TIA, ischemic, which means when they got me in there, they did like 3 MRIs. They couldn't find bleeding, which led to a blockage somewhere. And I got, my motor skills on my right side. Being a right-handed person, that made it really difficult. And on top of that, I got COVID. But just picture all that. They throw you in a room. This was during COVID. So if you ever worked in a restaurant, you got the cooler, then you got the freezer behind it. And that's kind of like where they put me at, And everybody came in to see me, had zoot suit, Tyvek on, and they were just. I felt so distant and unable to do anything. So, yeah, right now my effects, 4 years later, the effects I have are just soreness, weakness, still working out, and that used to be a physical training. So I'm trying to take pages and stretch a lot more. That helps me a lot, stretching. Spasticity, these are all stroke words, but just tightness, basically, and uncontrollable movement. But, I wouldn't change it for anything because the way I was living, it's a good thing I'm not dead, and so I'm past that. God carried me through this. This ain't the first time. So I want to thank that. So I'm so happy that I can share with others, and I hope other people are going through it. If you are, just be patient. Don't give up on yourself. Just try a little bit every day. A little bit every day, you get better. So.
That's right. And like Annette said, her family and her faith helped her through. So
Oh, yeah.
that's a very important part.
It is, and that was Mr. James has already asked. They're so good at the interviews until they're answering my questions before I even get to ask them. And so I'm going to still restate this question, and I'm allow Miss Annette also to answer this same question. And Mr. James, if you want to elaborate on it a little bit more, I wanted to say, what advice would you give to someone who just had a TBI? What advice would you give to them? And I'm allowed, for Miss Annette and for Mr. James to answer that question.
Ladies first. Hi, Annette.
You want me to go first? I'm sorry.
Yes, you can go first.
Okay, sure. Wow. I would say the things I'm learning and have learned is, to continue to have hope and belief that you can improve and you can learn different ways to do things that you used to do easily. You can learn new ways to do them.
Yeah.
And to ask questions. Don't be afraid to be your own advocate, especially in the medical world or the legal world. A lot of people, it's can be intimidating, and you think the doctors are the experts, and they are experts in their field, but that doesn't make them experts in brain injury. So don't be afraid to ask them to repeat things. Don't be afraid to ask them to slow down, and don't be afraid to ask questions. That's probably the biggest thing is I keep a journal wherever I go. I have my memory. Mentioned I have trouble with short-term memory. So I keep a journal with me when I go to appointments or to whether it's medical or legal or whatever, so that I can write notes. And I often have to ask the person speaking to please slow down. It's very common for me to have to ask people to slow down so that I can make my notes. So if you're new to the brain injury world, just have hope and belief and keep fighting the fight because you can do it.
And then that last week, that's one of the reasons why I pointed out, because of something that you said. Here in the state of North Carolina, the Brain Injury Association, now, I don't know if they implemented it yet, but I know they were talking about it. They're changing it, creating a directive. So any child that goes to the emergency room, they don't want to just treat the child for a cut on the head or a scratch on the head. They want that child to be examined for a brain injury. So I think that directive has been implemented to police agencies, first responders, and hospitals throughout North Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Mr. James, you want to answer the same question? I know you gave us a little insight on that of, a little advice to someone that has had a stroke or recently they acquired a TBI. What advice would you give to that person?
Well, there's so many different levels. I have friends here in Ohio that had stroke, but they call it aphasia, where they move normal, nothing hurts their body, but their brain speaks real slowly, or they can't speak. There's so many different levels. You can go down from the eyes and on down, but anybody that can hear this and hear this, I would say don't give up on yourself, first of all. It's going to take some time. It's like climbing Mount Everest, but you're starting at the bottom. So you might not make it to the top, but you're going to get up. And once you start climbing, so that's the best tip. Don't give up on yourself and keep going. And prayer is very important to me.
Yeah. And James and Annette, we got 1 minute to go before we go to the next, the final 10 minutes. I just want to mention not only your faith, your family, but also depending upon your condition. Music therapy helps. It heals a lot, particularly if the person is suffering from any kind of lapse of memory. Yeah. So music therapy helps with the memory loss. Apostle.
Yes, and I was going to ask that, Dr. Glenn, what has been their most helpful form of support? And we're going to have to wait until we come back so they can tell us what has been their most helpful form of support. Has it been therapy? Has it been family? What has been your most helpful form of support? But hey, I'm going to have to hold on to that and leave it as a cliffhanger until we come right back after this break, because we have to do this break. I want you to know that there's still a little time to call in case somebody wants to call in. This is the Glenn Johnson Show, Motivations with Glenn and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams. And we have two guests on today. We have Miss Annette Merck, and we also have Mr. James Rode on the phone. You can still get on. There's just a few minutes left. And
Yeah,
so,
but if you're calling in on the 2008 number, it might be busy because I gave Mr. Roy Rose the correct number. I should have gave him another number to call.
hey, but we're going to be right back. This is Awesome Radio after the break.
Hello, my name is Daniel from Greenville. We appreciate you for listening to Awesome Radio.
Awesome radio, yes, awesome, awesome, can you feel it? Awesome.
Youth Explosion at A Touch of God's Presence Ministries, 1300 Dickinson Avenue, Greenville, empowering the next generation. March 14th, beginning 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Guest speakers Elijah Mitchell and Elder Alvin Watkins. Everyone is invited to attend. For more information, contact us 252-427-2892 or 252-695-9007. Host Pastor Apostle Valeria McLeod. Youth Explosion, empowering the next generation. March 14th, beginning 2 p.m. at A Touch of God's Presence Ministries, 1300 Dickinson Avenue, Greenville.
Hello, this is Akila speaking here from the Awesome Radio Network. We are your vehicle to help drive the gospel of Jesus throughout all the world and to every creature. If God has placed radio ministry on your heart, we'd love to connect with you. Our number is 252-756-3137. That's 252-756-3137. We are Awesome Radio. We're growing. Thank you for growing with us.
Hey, we're back. And I left a cliffhanger question, and I asked both of our guests on today what has been their most helpful form of support. And we're going to start with Miss Annette. Tell us what's been your most helpful form of support.
Sure. For me personally, it's been my family. I was blessed. I am blessed. My two children and my sister were by my side within 24 hours at the trauma unit. And so that was instrumental in my initial recovery. And they have been by my side, obviously, every day since. I couldn't drive for a year and a half. So my sister and my daughter were instrumental in all of my medical appointments and helping me find additional transportation, um, public transportation, etc. And then the medical staff. I mean, the brain surgeon who saved my life was like, I'm pretty sure he was like voted #1 in the state of Florida and maybe further, I don't recall. But and my rehab doctor at UNC. Initially, the care that I got was top notch, and it makes me sad because I know, you know, some of the people I've met. This happened during COVID. I can't even imagine how horrible that had to have been for them. Um, and then the third thing would be the support groups. They are without a doubt an important role in my life, and they're my tribe. They're my family. They are with me every week. I'm with them every week, and it's a place where you can ask anything. And you know, with family, we always know the care and love, and they're looking out for us. But as the person with a brain injury, it's hard not to feel like you're a burden, even though they would never, do anything to make you like think that. But that's how you think as a survivor, because you have to rely on people for help that you never had to rely on them for, and that can be heavy, can weigh heavy on you. So it takes work to get through feeling like you're just a burden.
Oh, yes, I can understand that. Mr. James, will you tell us what has been your biggest support system?
Yeah. I agree with Annette too. I would list that #2, the tribe. You know, the groups we hang out with. Dr. Glenn always has a nice perspective. Annette sponsors a group that there's just a lot of individuals that are just you feel safe around, comfortable talking about anything. Was a lot of support. 'Cause I go to a few groups, but Annette's is one of the best. And but my family was big. God was probably #1 because I talked to him. I leaned on him heavy. I believe that. Me and God for a long time. When he was always there, I chose to walk away and do my thing. But I think what set me out of it too were my grandchildren. My sister was there initially when it happened. She did the transporting around for me. I had a girlfriend who doesn't drive, so you know how that works. So my grandkids got me out of the shell. They kept pulling, come on, like stuff we used to do. And they looked at me like I was normal, but I wasn't. Inside I felt like a twisted up rag. So it got me out the hump. It got me being more natural, more normal.
Yeah, James, you mentioned your girlfriend. I just want to tell you, I had a girlfriend, but I had to let her go because of her roommate.
Okay.
Her roommate, her husband.
Mm-hmm. Husband. Okay. But Dr. Glenn, and as you guys would admit, since our injuries, we've had to let go of a lot of things. Had to, what's the word? Just let go and start anew.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
That's my
fact.
That's why I like sharing my humor. I love humor because of some of the other things I used to do. I can't do, but I can always make people laugh.
Oh yeah.
Well, that was a little shocking humor for me. I said,
Music goes too, though. Music is really good relief stress. Just to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Annette is shaking her head in agreement. We
Yeah.
have we have 4 minutes to go for the remainder of the
Okay.
broadcast. We're going to give Miss Annette some more time. Annette,
Yeah.
anything you want to discuss, Annette?
Yeah, I guess I want to just step back for a second because I did want to make sure, and I neglected to say obviously that God was first on my list. He saved my life without question that day. There's no doubt. In my first week at rehab, my daughter brought a laptop so we could listen to church together in the rehab. And the first message that we both heard was, God is not done with me yet. There's so much more to this story.
Absolutely.
And I have used that expression every day since. And I actually had a picture made in my house with that phrase on it. So I do want to acknowledge that I am completely aware that he helped me and he does help me and he continues and he has. Um, the other thing I guess that I would share is that it goes back to the support groups. And I just, for survivors, there's support and there's also survivors for their caregivers. And I think that is important because I know the challenge that families have to face when a loved one or someone they're caring for is injured, whether it's brain or other ways, they need support. You know, whether it's alcohol, depression, or whatever the challenge their loved one is dealing with. Support is a critical piece of that. And so I would encourage on the BIA the BI Brain Injury Association of North Carolina has a website that has multiple different support groups, and I would strongly encourage people to join those, to look at them.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
We have 2 minutes remaining for the remainder of the show. Apostle.
Looked like we had a comment. I don't know if that's the Laura with the book that I was talking about in the comments over there. It looks like it looks like it could be her.
Let me see.
Yeah, it looks like her. And I spoke her name up, and it looks like there she is.
I don't see it.
It's on my side. I can see it here in the comments. She spoke from YouTube, and she said, "Wonderful show. Thank you all for highlighting Brain Injury Awareness Month this March."
Thank you to that.
And her name is Laura Hensley.
That's the Laura with the book.
Yeah,
Mommy's
okay. I thought so.
Mommy's read that. She's coming on she's coming on the 28th with another guest, Cynthia Harris.
Okay.
And on the 18th, we'll have the Marine. He'll be here discussing his brain injury that he sustained in Iraq.
Oh, yes. So we're going to be ready. We want to just tell our listening audience to be prepared. And again, Miss Annette, I'm sorry. I thought you were the lady with the book. And Dr. Glenn, you know, when I came in, he informed me. So I was like, oh, my goodness. I knew we had one guest, but I didn't know we had two at the same time. But I'm going to be ready. I'm going to be ready. But thank you so much because you gave us such good information. And, you know, I was blessed with how you stepped back and you said, look, I got to thank God. I got to talk about God, that God was my biggest help. I appreciate that because sometimes, you know, I have never had a brain injury, but sometimes I forget and I've got to step back and I've got to thank him. So I really appreciate that. And I appreciate both of you coming on and telling us your story. I had another question. I'll wait until after for Mr. James. I got to ask him, is he still driving that truck?
Oh, no, but I have a job driving. Can I say like Dr. Glenn? I appreciate you inviting me to your channel, and the stuff you bring to the group is always enlightening. And Annette talks about journaling a lot, which I've picked up a habit. I don't do it probably as good as her, but a lot of writing and thoughts.
James, I'm sorry. We got 20 seconds before the broadcast is. Apostle, we got 20 seconds, Apostle.
Hey, we want to thank you all for coming on and listening today with Brain Injury Awareness Month. And we want to invite you back next week and the coming weeks. We're going to be right back with more Brain Injury Awareness Month. This is the Glenn Johnson Show with Glenn Johnson and Apostle Jacqueline Cullins Williams.
Awesome radio. Yeah. awesome, awesome.